Hey guys, Asian here again with another dungeon guide video. This time we're going to be doing Direfrost Keep. This one, the bosses are fairly straightforward. The only one you're going to have trouble on is going to be the last boss. As usual, we're going to be skipping over any of the trash mobs fights, and once I explain the boss mechanics, I'll skip over the rest of the boss fight as well. One thing you're going to want to do to prepare for this boss, final boss, is for all the Templars to slot shards if they have it. You're going to want a lot of stamina for the last boss in this dungeon. This is the first boss you're going to face. You can see he has a red AoE circle around him. That circle is always going to be present. It will never disappear. So melee DPS and tanks, you're going to be in for quite a rough time. Healer, just make sure anybody in melee range has their health topped off, because it doesn't do a lot of damage, but if you're standing in it for a long time, it will start to add up. Beyond that, that's the only mechanic that this boss has. While you're going through this dungeon, there's going to be a couple of speaking boxes that you're going to find. There is an achievement if you hit all of them, so you might as well just hit all of them on your way through this dungeon. This is the second boss fight. He's a two-handed Draugr. His first attack is the one you just saw right there. He will leap to a random person, damaging him and anybody around him. Has a frontal AoE, kind of scream, ice breath thing. Don't know exactly what to call it. And then he'll create an ice AoE circle around one random person. That is untauntable, just like the jump attack is. Overall, a pretty simple boss to deal with. Moving on ahead with this dungeon, nobody needs to do the quest. I believe you can actually skip this part here, going to the left, and you can just go up the stairs that is behind the last boss. I'm not 100% sure on this. I've only done it once and we had no problems, but you might as well go to the left anyways just to kill these bosses. They're not that hard. This next boss is underneath one of the rooms there. He'll usually become aggressive as you're fighting the people above him, in which case he will summon a couple of those frost scamps that you see there. The tank should go down first, draw his attention, take care of the frost scamps before letting everybody else should jump in. He'll summon those throughout the fight. They'll chase down a random person and explode for an AoE attack. That can be pretty damaging to DPS, but overall not that bad. Then he has just a red AoE attack that's centered on him. He won't move when he does it, so you just back away from that attack. And once you clear this boss, you will have to pick up the torch for the quest, and then return back to the main room. If you are doing the quest and you light the main pyre, you'll have to fight 3 sort of mini-bosses that are just fight as normal Draugr. Nothing too difficult to deal with. This is an optional boss here. You don't have to fight him. He comes with a bunch of ads. You're going to want to burn the ads down first. They can be quite annoying to deal with. He has a couple of moves. First one there is a very large AoE circle around him. You're going to want to get out of that. The second move is he will randomly target one person and kind of put them inside of a beam. And you need to use break free to get out of that beam there. And there we go. You're going to want to use break free to get out of it. I'm not sure if it heals him or not, but it does do some pretty bad damage on if you're a DPS or a healer. Again, this is an optional boss. You don't have to fight him either for the quest or for the pledge. You can just kill him if you're looking for any of the sets that drop in this dungeon. The next boss here is going to be Iceheart. It was a giant ice Atronach. Also pretty easy, pretty straightforward. You'll have to wait for him to form before you can engage him in battle. Once he does form, go ahead and attack him. He has a couple of attacks. He has a frontal AoE conal attack right there. Pretty standard for a Frost Atronach. At various points during the fight, he will also create ice pillars. When he creates the ice pillars, if you don't break them in time, they will spawn ice skeleton ads. There's one right there. See, you burned it down. If you do not burn them down, the ice skeletons will spawn, and you'll have to take those out. So you're going to want to take out the pillars as quickly as you can. The skeletons don't have that much health. They can pretty much be AoE'd down. Then he has a large AoE Ice Stomp attack, so just stay out of melee range and you should be fine. And moving on ahead. Throughout this dungeon, there will be a couple of instances where you can skip a couple of ads if you hug the corners. It's up to you if you want to do that or not. I find it to be pretty easy to do, so you might as well do it. And this is the last boss. This is the only difficult and very annoying boss in this entire dungeon, and you'll see why. So she is untauntable. She will attack a random person and there's nothing that the tank can do about it. For this reason, if you have access to anything that gives you resistance buffs, Major Ward, Major Resolve, particularly Major Ward for the spell resist, definitely use that skill. If you have any sort of damage shield like the light armor ability, definitely use that as well, because the tank will not be able to hold aggro on her. She will summon Ice Wraiths during the fight. Not too hard, just AoE them down. She'll randomly teleport to a random person and do that large AoE attack centered on herself. So if you see her flash blue and teleport, just run and get away. That attack right there that you just saw is probably the most troublesome attack in this entire fight. She will randomly target one person and trap them in a beam. When she does that, that person's going to need to use Break Free. And when she does hit you with that beam, she also heals herself. So this is as much a DPS test as it is your ability to react quickly to the beam attack. Because even if you use Break Free immediately when she hits you, she's still going to heal for about 3 to 4% of her health. And so it's for this reason, it's highly advised if you have Templars on the team that they use Shards, and if you are hit by the beam and use Break Free, a Templar should throw down a shard and that person should go pick that shard back up in order to restore their stamina. Because Break Free, especially if you're not a Magicka DPS or a healer, you normally only have enough stamina for 2 to 3 Break Frees. And she can target you multiple times in a row, so it's better to play it safe and just throw down a shard whenever somebody gets hit by that beam. At some point in the fight, she's going to go into the center, encase herself in ice. At this point, she'll start throwing 2 ice balls that hit 2 people at random, and then instead of Ice Wraiths, she's going to start summoning Ice Atronachs instead. General strategy, when she summons the Ice Atronachs, is for the tank to taunt them and then keep them near the boss so that DPS can AoE them down. This boss is quite difficult, especially because of that healing beam, so everybody should try their best to keep their stamina up. Try to avoid dodge rolling if you can, avoid using stamina moves. Use your shards to replenish your stamina, and once you get hit with that beam, use Break Free immediately. As we speed up through this fight, you'll see her health starts to go back up here and there, and that's because some of our party members run out of stamina and can't use Break Free immediately. This is going to be a very lengthy fight. This is going to test your sustain abilities of your particular build. So here we wipe, and I lose my connection. So we're just going to skip past the part where I try to reconnect to the game. When I do eventually manage to log back on, because I disconnected but the server did not recognize that I didn't log out, we actually didn't get the hard mode bonus. But even on normal veteran, you're just going to want to use Break Free, get out of that beam whenever you can, as soon as you can. On normal veteran, she doesn't hit as hard, so it's not as bad. On hard mode, she's able to basically 2 to 3 shot DPS and healer with that holding beam. So yes, healer should also try to maintain the health on the person who's targeted by the beam in case they don't have enough stamina to use Break Free, because that beam will continue to damage you as well. As you can see here, on normal veteran, it's still fairly difficult. Her health bar just recovers here and there, especially as people start to run out of stamina. And there we have it. That's Direfrost Keep. Last boss is a pain in the ass to deal with, but you can do it if you have 2 good DPS. That's all for this guide. Hope that helps, and I'll see you guys in the next dungeon.